The EU elections are here. What does that have to do with pollution? Everything. 5 years ago, Ursula von der Leyen announced the European Green Deal as a response to the growing climate justice movement to make the EU climate neutral by 2050. But the European Commission stalled and delayed its meaningful measures to do with the use of chemicals and pesticides until they were reduced to almost nothing. How did this happen? This part of the European Green Deal was called EU Zero Pollution Ambition. It had two key components, the revision of the chemicals regulation and the phase-out of PFAS. This is urgent. People in Europe are exposed to alarmingly high levels of chemical substances linked to cancer, infertility, obesity, and asthma. These substances also contribute to the collapse of insect, bird, and mammal populations. The Forever Pollution project maps PFAS pollution across Europe, and it shows there are nearly 23,000 contamination sites in the continent. Estimating just a part of the health-related costs of European exposure to PFAS, the tally is of 52 to 84 billion euros every single year. So what happened to the promises of zero pollution? The big toxic lobby doesn't play around, and they wouldn't give in on a single euro of their profit over people's health or the environment. The big players spent a combined 33.5 million euros on lobbying the EU institutions. Their focus was clear: to destroy anything that threatened the business as usual of these companies. When it came to the chemicals regulation, a toxic combination of corporate lobbying, false narratives, cynical right-wing maneuvering, and influence of pro-industry forces inside the Commission kicked the REACH revision into the long grass. In the case of PFAS, the forever chemicals, 5 member states proposed a restriction that could be adopted. Unsurprisingly, the industry lobbying is already setting up its lobby vehicles, industry supply chains, and painting these deadly immortal substances as essential for the green economy and the digital transformation. The toxic industry has known about the risks of PFAS for decades, and it never did anything but expand its production and commercialization, leading us to the continental-wide production crisis. Every delay worsens the toxic pollution crisis. Every delay increases contamination in the present and guarantees more persistent pollution in the future. Health and environmental consequences of these hazardous substances demand urgent regulatory action. That is not possible with big toxics having a seat at the table and privileged access to all decisions. This shows the unequivocal need for toxic-free politics.